going to open up the select board meeting at 6:03 p.m. on Thursday, the 18th of March. And first thing is Council on Aging.
All right, can you hear me?
Yes, we
Gotta
can.
open. Do you have to open the meeting any more officially, or are we good?
No, I said at 6:03 I opened up the Finance Committee meeting. Yep.
Okay, wait a minute.
Okay, go ahead, Nancy.
All right, well, thank you for hearing me. Again, I'm here with my little small minuscule budget. I just want to actually, I meant to call you today, Ron, just to let you know, because when you and I went over this, if you look at my purchase services line, I had it in at 5,874. When I was talking to you, you had reduced it to 5,000. For the members of the Finance Committee meeting for the last 2 years, I did let you guys know that my computer service that I use called My Senior Center, which is a check-in service, helps us run reports, track, saves us an awful lot of work, and most senior centers run with that, has been financed through the button cell battery program, but that was coming to an end. So it will end the end of this fiscal year, which is why that number went up. Mm-hmm. So I just want to make a comment that if we reduce the budgets by 5%, that's an almost $3,000 reduction for me, but 874 has already been taken out, which is a third of that reduction. So that's huge for me as far as taking out an additional, full 5%. So I just want you guys to.
Nancy, we're gonna stick with just sticking with the budget that's in here because we don't know what percentage, and we'd rather not have open meetings where discussions 5% when it might be higher. We don't know.
Oh, okay.
Yet. We're still working everything. So that's why we want to stick with what's in the book at this point, so as not to confuse anyone who might be watching and or watch the recordings.
Okay, well, just so that you know, that's a very delicate line item for me because it contains that. It also contains the donation that goes back to Elder Services for what they provide. And although that is not a mandatory donation, it's about $3,900 a year. We give what we can. Right. But they have given a tremendous amount this last year with COVID. So I would just hate to see at some point, well, we're not going to give you a kitchen site manager because you don't contribute to this. So it's just a very delicate line item.
Okay.
But it's really the only line item at this point that I could foresee taking money away from. Okay. And other than that, it's going to go to salaries because the supply line's so small anyways. The other thing I need to make you guys aware of is that the formula grant is going to be reduced as well. The Executive Office of Elder Affairs has told us it took us 3 years to build it up to $12 a person from $9. Now they want to reduce that. They want to take into account the new census, which will be the 2020 data instead of the 2010, because it's only done every year, but they're talking about it like it's tax rate, where you can't get both. And it really has nothing to, you can't even compare the two. So although they'll bring it up, the number to the current number, they're also going to reduce it back down to $9. So I have the potential, they don't have numbers yet, but I have the potential of losing $3,000 there from a 13,000.
Nancy, can you start at your payroll lines, your first payroll line, and explain to the board why it's different?
Oh, it's just it's the COLA that I guess may not happen.
Just so they understand that, and why they understand why the second line went down a little bit.
The second line went down because we started with a new outreach coordinator, and Ron and I talked about this. So we just started her at a different level, but also a different step. So the first step of the next level up because the responsibilities were increased. So I believe it's an OAD. Wait a minute. I didn't bring that book with me. It was before, I think it was an OAD 2, and now it's a 3, but it's a step 1.
Okay.
And then we go to the purchase services, and again the supplies, which is it's just creeped up a little each year. The other thing though, notice on the purchase services, I don't know why in 2019 it jumps from the 1,000 then to 7. There's something in there that's either incorrect or it had to have been an encumbered amount. Wow, why those numbers are so different. Um, and, supplies I usually increase by like 20% because the cost of everything goes up. And the last item is only the Mass Council on Aging dues, which goes up a little bit each year, which is why I put it to 300 from 272. I'm also thinking about, we had introduced fees for things. Our friends group, not the town, but our friends group is our fundraising group. So they collect a membership from anybody who's willing to give it. You do not have to pay a membership. Doesn't mean everybody who's 60 years and older or under and over the age of 22 disabled belongs to the Council on Aging, can go to any Council on Aging. So it's not something you have to do. It's just something to support the friends group a little bit. So that membership we've talked about, and we've done it a little bit with a couple of activities in the last year or so, is just giving a discounted rate for members to entice the membership to go up. So hopefully that can help a little. And we anticipate if we get cut, we'll just have to do that a little more. I hope I never have to charge for exercise because I think that's so important, but we'll probably end up charging for some other activities.
Okay.
And that's really it. I'm a little disappointed. I've been really, really heavily involved with the vaccine, donating a lot of time. I have my typical volunteers donating a lot of time, extra volunteers donating a lot of time. And I had a really difficult day today knowing that the school had specialized treatment with a vaccine clinic being set up to their requirements during the workday. And they were giving out gift cards, masks, had a band. When I had seniors that were the most frightened during the last year, we gave them nothing when they came for these vaccines that they were so excited and so appreciated to have. We gave them nothing because we were afraid to hand out even candy or whatever because of people touching things. And the school treated it like it was a party today. And I got to tell you, I'm really disgusted. And we need to go further than what we're doing with them and tell the school, you know what, they can exist on what they have. And we really need to make a point out of that. I'm really angry about it. I've spoken on town floor before. I'll do it again. I'll call on the superintendent, whatever I have to do. But the behavior they had at that clinic yesterday was disgusting. It's nothing against, we have a lot of good teachers, but to make it into a joke and to give away and then to say, I asked about it. Where did this stuff come from? Where did you get $25 gift cards for your teachers? Where did you get Fitbits? Where did you get, and they were told it was the insurance company. Well, I've dealt with insurance companies a long time, and if they're going to give away masks, it's going to say Blue Cross Blue Shield. It's not going to be green saying WRSD. So if they can afford to spend COVID funds or anything else on that, then they can afford to make some adjustments. It's time we stand up and say a whole lot more than what we've been saying, because it's not a joke. It's not a joke when it comes to a very small group of municipal workers that could lose their jobs or could lose a part of it. We lose funding, we lose fire, we lose police. It's really, really serious. It's not funny anymore.
We are all in agreement here with you, Nancy.
Well, thank you.
Does anyone have any questions for Nancy?
Unknown caller.
Sorry.
Karen, if I may, Nancy, it's Tamika. I'm sorry, I missed what it was that you were talking about that referred to reducing it from $13 to $9.
Oh, that's a formula grant that all Council on Agings receive every year.
Okay.
It's a formula that they come up with, and it's based on number of seniors according to the census. So, and the federal census, because it's done every 10 years, has still been based on the 2010. So because we just did the new census, they think that'll be ready in time, but they're now reducing the amount per senior. And it took them years to even get into agreement that it would go up $1 a year. So for the last 3 years, it's been increasing $1 per senior. And they're saying they're going to now take it back down to the $9. It reached 12. They'll take it back down to the $9 and use those new 2020 figures.
Thank you for the explanation, Nancy.
You're welcome.
else has anything further for Nancy? Thank you very much, Nancy. I appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
Unknown caller.
Next on the list is Mr. Buckley and the Department of Public Works. Yeah, they couldn't make it tonight.
I'm waiting for it to come up, folks. I don't know why it won't.
Are you waiting for, Joe?
You can hear me, but, oh, there I am.
There we can see you. I'm gonna tell you the same thing that I told Nancy. We're gonna stick to the budget that's in the book, because at this point, we know there's going to have to be several iterations. We're not sure of the percentages, and we don't want mixed messages getting out for anyone who's here at the meeting and or listening. So it's gonna be easier to go through it when we know what cuts we're gonna have to make. I know, we understand, we appreciate, but right now, we're not sure what the cuts are going to be.
Not a problem. Just a couple quick things.
Yep.
Sent out a memorandum just before the meeting that
Yep.
covers everything DPW currently does. We were asked by the administration to look at cuts, and I'm not going to discuss them. I'm just going to simply explain that unless you do a thorough analysis, it's impossible to even consider cuts. And those are at the back of that document.
Yes,
The front end of the document covers pretty much everything that DPW currently does. On the tax side, I believe it's around $1.3 million. And you have several line items. Little change from last year. We were asked to level fund everything, and we've done that with a couple exceptions. We took some fuel, overtime, and machinery maintenance and put them under snow to try and shore up the snow and give us a cushion in the event that we have a winter. Other than that, I didn't see a lot of change from the previous year. There's several line items, and I've got most of them committed to memory. So if you have a specific question, I'm more than willing to go over that.
well, let's start with, where do we want to start? Highway admin, is that what we want to start with? Okay, let's start with DPW administration.
Okay.
So pretty much it tells you what on the back, why not, I get that. You've given all the information.
I have, frank with you, little if anything actually went up.
Right, it went up just a little bit, but that's because of costs and contractual increases.
Are you sharing that screen now? Because that'll save me a step.
I don't have the screen available for me.
Okay, so
What?
you're,
What color tab in the book is DPW?
It's orange and it says highway.
Highway administration.
just to clarify, you're in 421 DPW administration?
That's correct.
Yeah, everything here is south. Any increases that the majority of them reflect collective bargaining increases.
Exactly.
Overtime actually went down a little bit because, like I said, we moved some to snow.
Yep.
We also had big changes in water. We lost 2 key staff members, and some of the DPW payroll has been shifted to water because they frankly need the help.
Okay.
I mean, that's a very small increase overall. $4,500 considering isn't bad.
Our book shows 421 went up 21,946.
I must have a different sheet in front of me. I'm sorry. And you can't share that, you
That's
say?
okay. I do not have it. I don't have it electronically.
Ron, are you there? Do you know if they're able to share the budget electronically? Are you able to do that?
I don't have electronically at home either, so I can't put it up on my screen. I have it, all the members have it on hard copy, Joe. But unless Karen had electronically, we can't share electronically.
Right.
Well, we can certainly verify that number, Karen. But what I can, the increases there are mostly collective bargaining.
Okay. Which makes sense. Okay. Does anyone have any questions about, okay? Hold on, and I just need to mute so that you can answer.
Joe, can you just mentioned that some highway wages got shifted to water. Can you explain that a little bit further?
Sure. We had one person leave DPW to go to another town, and that was a promotion. So, and we had one person on the DPW staff pass away. We simply needed more. We had two things we had to do. One, we hired a consulting engineer to come in and run the plant because we didn't have anybody with a license, and we moved DPW staff over there to help out. Both water and sewer are grossly understaffed, and if we're not careful, we run the risk of not complying with state regulations. If you read that whole document I sent, I actually tasked our water and sewer consultant with getting me concrete estimates as to what we should have for staff. I hope that answers your question, Tom. Do you need me to be more specific?
Well, I'm guessing if you shifted people over to water that, because people were gone, weren't there wages there already to cover the people you shifted?
There are some wages, Tom, but again, neither of those staffs are big enough currently.
Okay.
The other thing that's tricky about water, Tom, the gentleman who passed away and actually was a part-time retired employee. There's no way we can hire back a part-time retired employee to run the water plant. We need a competent staff or a full-time person. Any other questions? Do you want to go on to the next sheet, Karen?
We're gonna go on to the next sheet, 422. Tommy, can you mute? Thank you.
I have DPW construction maintenance.
Yep.
Do you have any questions? What do you have for a total there, Karen?
73,771.
Okay, that's what I have.
It's a very small increase of $1,017.48.
Yes.
So. And that's mainly in the stormwater management, which I know is a state or federal mandate. I know it's a mandate. I just don't remember which one.
Both, actually. And it's not funded. And that really doesn't pay for very much.
Anyone have any questions on 422 DPW construction and maintenance? Okay. 423. Snow and ice.
One of my favorites. What do you have for a total there?
$213,548.
All right. What do you have for, I just want to point out, what do you have for FY18 and FY19 spending?
It's not on our sheet.
Sorry.
Oh, yeah, actual spending in 2018 was $321,101.97. 2019, the actual spending was $247,802.39.
In the memo I sent you, there's an estimate for how much snow and ice is already in deficit. Roughly around $75,000, I think.
Are you trying to make this worse?
I'm sorry?
Are you trying to make this worse?
No, I'm just being frank with you.
That,
Oh,
that
I
should-
get.
that
You
should
don't
be
have a
handled,
choice.
that should be handled in the 2021 budget anyway, not 2022. At the end of the year, we'll try to deal with that deficit. It shouldn't be
No.
first in 2022.
No, that's all.
No, but
I'm
Joe always makes sure he tells us so that we're prepared for year end. So he's always very good about letting us know sooner than later so that we're not caught off guard.
Yep.
I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't do that.
Thank you.
Any questions?
No, it looks pretty straightforward. Does anyone have any questions? Okay. So now we're going to go to streetlights.
We reached
So
out.
I have $37,000 for this department.
Yep, that's a very close number.
Okay.
We remain hopeful that we're where we need to be. We
Okay.
have upgrades to the lighting system and we're hopeful that it works out. But there's a lot of factors involved, solar energy credits, power supply vendors, that kind of thing. We actually reached out to National Grid to find out where we're doing with this. But I think it's a safe number for now. Ideally, I'd like to have it a little higher, but it's fine.
Okay. Any questions on streetlights? Okay, we can move on to 429 Town Garage. Okay, and again.
Level funded at 33,750.
Yep. Anybody have any questions about what this really pays for?
No, this one's pretty straightforward. Okay.
Keeps the heat and the lights on.
Okay. Any questions on 429 Town Garage? Okay, 430 Machinery Maintenance.
Now, like I mentioned earlier, we suggested that you move 25,000 from the machinery maintenance account to the snow and ice account and create a new line item. If you have a significant plow repair, they can cripple you.
Yep.
So in true emergency, we could deficit spend that if we had to. But in that memorandum I sent you, it talks roughly where the machinery maintenance monies are spent and where they go. We're very lucky to have that staff that's able to do that. We have an aging fleet and they basically keep things running.
Just so it's clear to everybody here, Joe's budget is pretty close to level funded, but he moved money from different accounts into snow and ice to better reflect the expenditure. But you got to kind of piecemeal where the money came from and where it went. But essentially, it came from a couple of different accounts to go into snow and ice. But it's the same money, just moved into the department where it better reflects the spending.
Yep.
Joe's pretty good at explaining it. I understood Joe exactly.
Okay, so moving on to 431 Town Vehicle Fuel.
Very similar to the previous line item. We moved a little bit of money to snow and ice for fuel and basically level funded that. I just want to point out while we're all here, that's not just DPW fuel, that's all vehicles in town. Police, fire, everyone.
Okay. Any questions on town fuel? Okay. We can move on to waste disposal, 433.
I level funded waste disposal as we were instructed to do. I would just caution everyone here involved. This pays for basically commercial containers that are in town buildings, and some recycling that the town does. Recycling costs have gone up. Disposal of waste has gone up. This particular number is outdated. We don't have good numbers from this year because the firm we've been using changed hands and billing has been suspect, but I would caution everyone here, this won't be enough money.
Okay.
All right?
Would it be possible that you could perhaps get I'm not saying a quote, but a more realistic feel from the purveyor so that we could maybe know what we should be putting in here, so we're not scrambling at year end to try to, next year end to try to use reserve funds to pay for this? We want to make sure we're paying for stuff that we have to pay for.
Well, this was guidance from, as I mentioned previous, this is level funded.
And I understand that. Okay. Okay.
Through you, Madam Chairman, just a question.
Mhm.
Hey, Joe, where's the earthworks money budgeted for the regional recycling center? Where is that budgeted?
We think last year, the previous administration took it from DPW Highway Administration.
Okay.
But we asked to see if that, and that was done at year's end, close to the town meeting. I have not been able to verify.
Okay.
Can I have a question?
For it.
Go ahead, Darren.
Yeah, good evening, Joe. Do we, on the fuel, going back one step, do we bid the year, and can we bid the year with the way prices are going up? I'm a little nervous of where it's going. That previous page for next year. Do we bid the whole year ahead of schedule, or, gas and stuff, or is that market price?
I think it's market price through a state cooperative. I'll see if I can get you a better number. Better where that comes from. We don't bid it out internally. I think we take advantage of either a state contractor or a cooperative price. But put some stock in it because the fact that it's a municipality, we don't pay fuel taxes.
Okay, I'm just concerned about every time I go to the pump lately, it's going up, and
Yep.
that could
No, it doesn't.
be
I
scary.
understand completely.
It's not done like that though. Through state bidding prices, it's purchased, as you say, ahead of time, and they purchase at the beginning of the year at a set price. And it's not until it's rebid that the number changes, Darren. So it's not like it changes day to day. The numbers we're using now were probably bid quite some time ago. I'm not sure when as he says, it's either through a state bid contract or through a regional purchasing thing. I'm not sure the timing of how they bid it, but they do it in groups in order to get the lowest price possible.
Ron, could you do me a favor and get where that bid stands and get that either to Karen or to Ian and let us know? Because I'm just wondering what the status is of that. That's one of those things that I'd hate to see bite us in the backside.
Specifically talking
No, it's an excellent question.
You're talking specifically about the gas bid for gasoline, or which one?
Gas, fuel, all the stuff that he's buying to make our trucks and cars and everything that we own go. I'm just nervous where it's going.
Yep.
And I hate to go into this naive. That's all.
Yeah, we can look at that. I mean, we do that. Yeah, I don't know, Joe. You might base sand and salt that way too, but we'll take a look at some of those contracts and see if we can get you some information.
Perfect.
I can definitely get that for you. It's not a big deal. The salt is actually, that one I know for sure. That's a state contract.
Okay.
And that hasn't moved over the last 2 years.
Perfect. Thank you very much, sir.
I think we've covered all of your accounts, Joe? Oh, no, I think there was one up here. Wasn't it building maintenance up here? Hold on. I did look through this earlier. So all we've got now is building maintenance. Sorry about that. Building maintenance, it's the yellow tab in the. Okay, this is gonna be difficult. I don't know. That's what we took it out of that one. Sure. Okay. Then we'll bring it over here and see what we can do. Right. You worked last week. All right, I'll stay on as long as I can, guys, but when it dies, we'll have to cuddle close to one of the other ones because my battery is dying and we can't figure out why. It's plugged in, but it's not working. All right. So, Ron, what does that mean since I'm the one running the meeting? If my computer goes dead, what does that do?
Yeah, well, you're the vice chairman. You could just appoint one of the other members. You still have a quorum, right? One of the other members can take over to lead the last of the meeting.
Well,
Just
I'm
like
here
somebody.
with them, so I'm going to go. I want to make sure that because I opened it on this computer, that if this computer goes dead, it's not going to make everybody else lose the thing.
I don't think it will knock us out, but if three of your members,
It will if she's the
you might not
host.
have a quorum anymore.
No, it's the host. It will kick us out of the meeting, but what we could do is somebody else can just act as the host and reopen the meeting.
Okay, so we're going to take a hiatus for a second.
Karen,
Yes, Nancy.
I can direct you to a Chromebook in my office, which is open, if that will help you.
Oh no, we've got plenty of stuff here we can use. That's not the issue. I just don't know why. I don't know. It's not important why anymore. So okay.
Karen, can't you transfer hosting to somebody else's computer on your
Does anyone know
controls?
how to do that?
Not without signing out, not without ending the meeting and getting back in. Do you want to adjourn the meeting, Karen, just to be safe? And then either Ron or myself or somebody else can act as the host?
No, I will. David is here and we are going to use David's computer to act as the host. So I am going to, we're just going to take a hiatus and we'll come right back.
That's the thing. When it comes to this kind of stuff, I plug it in and it better work. And when it doesn't, it's a problem. Yeah, his name's Tim.
Tamika, are you there? We need
Yep,
to,
I'm here.
I think you can share hosting with another person and not get knocked out like we did, but we got to look at how to do that.
Yeah, if you can, I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah,
I'm not sure how you do it.
Yeah, I haven't done it either. I know that, well, a long time ago I did it, but I got to make sure it was on Zoom and not on GoToMeeting. But you can share the host with another person in case you get knocked out. The other person can take over, but we have to look at how to do it.
What's more
Yeah.
concerning is why are two plugs in the Council on Aging not working? That's what we should all be concerned with.
There you go. No money in their budget.
Yeah.
They may be on a switch.
Yeah, except the room that we're in is all the automated thing.
So, hey, Joe, there's two buildings you don't take care of. One is the public safety building. But there was one other one in here that you don't have either, right?
The live,
The library?
we clean it, but we don't take care of the fuel or electricity, no.
Okay. I know there were two that other people did that you didn't do. Well, the library's not one of them because it's not in there.
We clean and maintain it, but we don't,
Yeah, that's not the one though, Joe. I remember when we did this budget, there were two. One was public safety that Seth was in charge of, but I don't know what the other building was. All the other buildings I thought you'd take care of. I just remember we did a budget, there was two buildings that you didn't take care of when we went through it. Community hall, public safety,
192 public buildings.
Yes.
I don't remember.
Okay, thank you very much for everyone's patience while we that. So we're on 192 public buildings.
You want to go through the buildings really quickly, Joe?
I actually don't have that spreadsheet with me.
Okay.
I'd have to work from memory,
So,
but I can tell you roughly, they were all level funded from a year ago. The only one that I'm concerned with is the wood studio. We seem to run out of money to run that. Most of these funds go to just keep the lights on and pay for heating costs. There's some minimal
Okay,
funds.
written at the bottom. Okay, written at the bottom is add public safety building and public safety building supplies.
okay, those are under.
That's
under
change.
Seth, right? Those are taken care of by Seth, not by him. Those were the two.
Okay, it says add here at the end.
Yeah, because there's those two buildings, while they're on your big spreadsheet, they're not on this presentation because this is Joe's. So those two buildings come under a different department. That's why.
Okay, so this department is 57,350. Okay, that's what I wanted to know. Go ahead, thank you. I appreciate it. You can come sit over here.
Did
Are
we,
you soaked today?
Karen,
Yep.
did Joe mention, I heard the other day, maybe it was one of these meetings that the roof on the wood house is getting close?
Want to answer that, Joe, or Joe?
There are two quick things I can talk to. One is the recent grant that town got to evaluate all the town buildings. And that would probably get put into a schedule. We did have the roof evaluated. We have an estimate, but it's a sizable capital project and it doesn't fall into this. This is an operating budget.
That's right. So the answer is we're looking at the roof. Peter, the chairman of the historical commission, they do have quotes for it, but it's going to have to go to capital improvement. And that's probably the little bit of free cash we have left. It's probably going to have to go to fix that roof.
Hey, Ron, did you not hear what Joe said about him deficit spending the snow and ice, which we do every year because we always cut it. It's not Joe's fault. We're gonna need that, what money is left in free cash to pay for that.
Well, maybe. It depends upon when we flush out the accounts at the end of the year. For instance, we still have $25,000 in reserve. So you could be right, depending upon how much money as we wash the accounts at the end of the year to balance the budget, how much we can use to pay down some of that snow and ice debt.
And then again, I will mention that in our financial policies that were signed by the Board of Selectmen and the Finance Board, that we use some free cash to aid in balancing the budget. So we might need to do that as well.
Yeah, but okay. I mean, the answer is there's very little free cash left. So there's very little you're gonna be able to do with that, but I understand. I think we left. I don't remember.
All right, is there any other questions for?
So just
I but at home, I don't have to bring all that.
So just a comment here.
So Joe, is any other questions for Joe?
You want to go first, Ron? Because I'd like to make a last statement.
Just on the issues we're looking at, the public safety building and supplies, later we're gonna have to discuss that with Seth, but that really the only building that increased in any money is the 3,000 for the public safety building, with Seth arguing that there's some significant repairs and stuff they have to do to that building. But all the rest of the buildings were pretty close to level of funding with some very, very minor adjustments.
But the public safety building is under the public safety. It's not under this 192.
Correct. It's not under these, right, it's actually under 192, but it's not under Joe's purview.
Okay. 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 All right.
I think Joe has a comment.
Okay, Joe, you, huh?
I have first a question and then a comment. Could you please briefly discuss your process as you go forward? How many more do you have to review before you get into reviewing what you may have to adjust in our budget? And will DPW representation be at the table?
We would definitely be looking for people to attend those meetings. Our last meeting that we have scheduled currently is April 1st to go over revenue review. And that's after we've met with all of the departments. And at that point, then we will have to all sit down at the table and figure out some stuff. And we'll be inviting, after that meeting, we'll be getting out to the departments. Tamika will be sending out invitations, I'm sure.
And that at that point, you'll discuss options.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Second question, you sent a sizable amount of material, the memorandum that covers the operating budget and supporting documents. Did everyone receive those?
Yes, I forwarded them to all the members of the finance committee this evening. All did
I didn't
receive
chance to
it
review
tonight.
it, Joe, but I will. Thank you.
Thank you. One last statement. There's a question about water and sewer, and I guess we're going to talk about that next week. I should have some information back from the consultant by then.
Oh, great.
That speaks to staffing. And if I can get that to everyone involved in advance, I will do that.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Regarding water and sewer, we may not have a good feel for revenues, but myself and the town administrator recently met with the delegation of state representation, and I think we made some real progress. So we may be turning a corner on some of our sewer charges.
Yay. On some of our sewer charges. You just made Tommy's evening, so thank you.
Tom, I can just say that those people leave me tired.
Dean, are you home?
And everybody else, have a good night and be safe. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Joe.
Thanks, Joe.
All right. So I don't see recreation or safe place here. Do you, Ron?
I don't see him. Leah, did you invite him? Or not Leah, Tamika?
Yeah, they were
Paul, we're
invited.
gonna go to you.
What?
Yes,
So
they were
Paul, we're
invited.
gonna.
So Karen, do you want me to talk about it all or you want?
Us and Paul, we're gonna go to you for public access cable. Okay, Paul, there you go. Right.
Okay. I'm here somewhere.
Okay,
Okay.
so
Mm-hmm.
for everyone that's listening, this is a revolving fund. Funds are given to the cable access from Spectrum or Charter, whatever the name is now.
All of the
And you
above.
get to spend them. Okay,
Yes.
so there are no tax revenues that go to this account. It's all from the cable company.
That's right.
Perfect.
There. I found it.
Hey, Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the good, so pretty much it's a slight increase of $26. Oh, decrease of $26. Woohoo!
Well, yeah, that goes without saying. We don't have all the prices yet that we want to get for the equipment that we're looking at. But, we feel that we're reasonably close in discussing it, looking at it, keeping fingers crossed, pencils sharp, things like that.
So just to be clear, so people understand, what is new, and there must have been an employee in last year, Peter Crane was added beginning July 1st as a new employee for 10 hours a week. I think everyone recognizes that Peter puts in massive amounts of hours as a volunteer. And I felt very strongly, given that there's plenty of cable wages, that we needed to bring Peter on as a part-time employee for 10 hours a week. That's $7,439. The last year's budget must have spent it on somebody else, but that is new, the fact that Peter is going to be part-time as of July 1st.
Does anyone have any questions for Paul and cable access? Okay.
Paul, what's the amount you get from the cable company each year now, or this year, this past year, this year? And what's in the total amount that's in that reserve fund or whatever account?
Revolving fund.
I'm hearing you twice, and I'm having great difficulties trying to make up my mind just what you said.
It's off now.
Well, he's asking you what the total amount is in the cable fund right now, and he's asking you what the payment is from Charter on an annual basis under the cable contract.
Okay, the current amount right now, I believe, is somewhere in the vicinity of 52,000, and we get. I got that figure in front of me. I'm not sure that I do. Anyway, we get 3% of the total revenue paid by subscribers in the town of Rutland, given to us on an annual basis, and it generally comes in around the end of the year. And no, I do not have those exact figures here in front of me right now. I'm sorry.
To let you know, and I don't know the exact numbers off the top of my head, but there's probably a year of that could run the department for a year of unencumbered funds for that department sitting in an account. And that's pretty standard among cable companies in case something happens with the Charter cable. So there's a significant amount of money above what he actually budgeted for sitting in that account.
Okay, and I'll turn mine on.
Isn't that what Tommy asked?
Yeah,
Yes.
budget doesn't have the exact number of how much money. It's an annual amount that Charter pays the town. And in Paul's right, it's 3% of the services. He just doesn't have what that total amount is. We don't spend anywhere near that amount of that 3% of the money. There's probably a year of money in that account that is not in his budget as of now. So the answer is, if they want to do capital purchases or other things, they have plenty of money to work with if they needed to do buy cameras or equipment. So the account is well funded, significantly more than he actually budgets for.
But let it be known that we cannot take this money from this account and use it for anything else. So it's nothing that we can take and use for anything else. We can't defer this to help any other thing. This has to stay in here.
Strictly public access use is all it can be used for.
Okay.
All right, any other questions for Paul? Okay, thank you, Paul.
Thank you, everybody. Have a good evening.
You too.
You too.
Okay. So, Ron, I guess we'll
I can talk about it, or we can bring.
I guess we'll get together with Recreation and Safe Place at another night.
Yeah, okay, I mean, that's fine. I mean, I could talk about it, but you're right. Sarah would be better to come in, but if you want, I can talk about it. It's up to you.
Well, considering we're asking all the other departments to come in, I think it would be rude not to expect them to come in and justify their budgets that they've put together.
Yep, okay.
Karen, just let me know which night you'd like me to add them back to.
Yeah, I'll look
Wanna
at the
do
list.
Tuesday? Tuesday's not too much. It's only Concom and water and sewer.
What? Yeah, why don't we try that? And Ron, please reach out to them and let them know that this isn't, they need to let us know. Tamika sends out an email and says, if you can't make it, let us know. And I did not hear from anyone.
Yep, and if, Tamika, if, I guess if you don't get responses from somebody, let me know prior to the meeting and I'll shake the tree to make sure they show up. But I have no idea because I'm not kind of part of that loop, but let me know.
Yeah, I mean, I send out the email about a week in advance, and then I also send it 2 days before to remind everybody. And the only person I ever heard back from was Peter saying he couldn't come tonight.
Right.
But yeah, I didn't hear from Sarah or Karina.
Well, now Karina's not working for us right now, correct?
Correct.
I wasn't
Okay,
sure, so
so-
I had sent it to her just in case, but I definitely did send it to Sarah.
So Sarah's getting both sets of emails, correct?
Yeah, she's working both programs at this time. Now, just to let you know, one of the things I'm meeting with Sarah on Monday to talk about timing for when Karina comes back, because the school system just approved use of the buildings for her camp, the summer camp thing, which brings in revenue to be able to help pay for the revolving fund to pay Karina's salary. So I've asked Sarah to come meet with me Monday to give me a plan so I can see if it makes sense in the timing to bring Karina back. I obviously ain't gonna bring her back unless I know I have enough revolving funds to pay for her.
Can we also have what the balance in both of those funds are for the meeting that we're gonna add them to next Tuesday, please?
Yeah, okay, like in Sarah's, she's showing you the revenue collection for the year in 2022, what she expects to collect and what the expenses, but you're asking for the 2021 year-to-date revenue versus expenses. Is that what you want, Karen? For the
I'd
current,
like the balance in the account currently, so that way we know where we're gonna be.
okay. And you're talking just so I'm clear, you're talking both safe places and recreation,
That's
Great.
correct.
all right,
The 53D and the 53E and a half.
okay.
Okay. Any other discussion for this evening?
So let me just kind of make sure everybody's clear, right? Because at the past finance meeting, it was discussed to start having department heads look at, and we had talked, the finance committee actually talked about 4% of their budgets to cut. I've already asked department heads to do 3 things. One is to cut out anybody that got a step increase, about 5 people, to take out the quotas for non-union people, and to reduce their operating budgets by 5%. So some of the departments are already ready to discuss that. And then I guess instead of doing that at the meetings with department head, Karen's saying we're gonna come back and revisit that at a later time, that 5% portion. But I do want, if department heads start talking about that, so that's why, because I've already asked them to prepare for that cut, okay?
Well, Ron, I don't recall, and maybe I'm misunderstanding, but I don't recall us saying 5%. I don't recall that.
Yeah, it was actually 4%, and one of the finance members said, we should, we talked about, should we cut a percentage across the board? And the suggestion was 4% would be one of the things that we should look at, and I made it 5. But that was,
Yeah.
it was not
I know.
that voted a finance committee, but it was a discussion we had at an earlier finance committee. That's why I went forward with it.
Point of order.
Yeah. Okay,
Karen.
go ahead, Darren. Yep.
Can Tamika look back in our notes or minutes? I don't remember. Maybe I missed something. Given any numbers, because I think 4 or 5% might be a little number compared to what we're gonna have to do. Tommy Rochelle has a pretty good memory over there. Do you remember us giving any numbers there, Thomas? Thank you. I'm a little nervous. I hate to, I understand what you're doing, Ron. I think it's a good idea to get going, but I think that's gonna be,
Well, listen, I don't think that's anywhere near enough. It was just a start, but that was, because I didn't pull it out of my ears. I mean, it was a discussion we had. I remember very distinctly that the number that was talked about was 4. But it wasn't like the finance committee voted or not. It was, all right, we got to start thinking about cutting. And I took it upon myself to start that process because we got a lot of work to do. So I need my department to start thinking about cuts.
and I appreciate that, but
Yeah, and I mean, Karen made it clear, and I think she's absolutely right. We're never going to cut the deficit, and a 5%, even a 5% cut is not going to take care of this deficit. But we got to start having them think about that, and got to start understanding what those cuts are going to mean, because they're, a 5% cut's going to show some real pain. Wait till we start talking about 15 or 20% cuts, what that's going to do. But we got to start that ball rolling.
Okay, go ahead, Pete.
So Ron, I know that we had a conversation about electronic distribution of reports and such. But I'm wondering, I know that those electronic copies were made available to all the members of the finance committee. But I'm wondering if it wouldn't be beneficial. The files that obviously are electronic someplace. Made available to one of the members, probably the chairman or the vice chair, just so that they're available for people to review if they don't have them.
Pete, I'm sorry, there's some back, I can't understand what you're saying. I don't know if other members can hear you, but to me, you're like speaking twice.
Karen's gonna have to shut off for a second.
I did shut off. So what he's asking for is, Pete's asking, is there a way to get this hard copy book sent to myself and Ian so that we could share the screen if there's on a night and one of the department heads needs assistance?
So are you talking about?
Past had it electronically.
Yeah, it's all in bits and pieces by department. It's not like in a whole book like you're looking at. It was printing out file by department by department. So there's no book format and electronic.
So what about the whole budget put together? If you send that out to us, so.
You mean the summary, the summary chart? The book, the summary I put in the beginning of the book, it's after the thing. I can send that out, no problem, if you want the summary sheet, which will show you, because right now, in order to look at the departments, you have to pull a summary sheet out of the front of the book and kind of use it as a tool as you go department by department in the hard copy. But if you want to,
I'm thinking what will work for us is this report.
it's the summary sheet. Yeah, that's what I'm calling the summary sheet. But that's in everybody's book at the beginning of the book. And I like what I've been doing is taking out that hard copy and comparing that to the conversation, because you're right. At the beginning of each department is the department budget, and that's not the real budget. But I'll be happy to send that electronic form if it makes it easier for Pete and others to see that. Pete, is that?
It'll be just a waste. So in case we have another night where one of the department heads needs, we would be able to have that to share it.
Yeah, and frankly, Karen, the one that needs it is going to be you to share your screen. But Pete, would that make it easier if you had that summary sheet electronic?
If you send it to me, I'll send it to all of the members so everyone can have it if they want to see it or not.
Okay. Is there anything else you want? I mean, I can't send you all the little departments in summary, but is there anything else? I mean, the summary sheet's kind of the big thing. I can send that out to you, and that would make that part of it easier. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I'll send it out to you probably Monday morning, Karen.
Okay, hold on one second. Pete's got one more question.
I just think that from the perspective of.
Kim, can you give me a pen?
Yep.
Joe needed the backup to be able to make his case.
Right.
And I'm just wondering if instead of trying to put the whole thing, the whole book, just do those segments that are gonna be done that particular night. I don't know, I mean, I know that in the past we were doing everybody.
Yeah.
Went up to the Google account and everybody
Yes.
got a copy.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily think we need to do that, but it would be good for somebody to have that level of detail so that we don't run into a conversation.
Okay, so what Pete is asking is if on those nights when we have meetings and we know which departments, if you could send me those individual pages. So like tonight with Joe, we would have been able to share that information. So if you send me for, Tuesday's meeting, you send me water and sewer conservation, recreation and safe place. So in case they need the assistance, we've got it.
I can try. I just got, like I said, it's all kind of
Okay.
piecemeal, so I can try. I'll try to send you out what I can. So what you would get, I guess, is the summary for the department and the narrative that you have in your book. You want the narratives too? Or you're looking for?
It's not so much the narratives, it's less the narratives than the spreadsheets, because the narratives they should know. But the spreadsheet, sometimes they might not have it, so that would be of assistance in case we have the department head.
And I'm going to also discuss with my department heads, because department heads all gave me that information. They should bring me the same information they gave me to your meetings, but they don't. So I'm going to have a conversation.
Yeah, right.
I don't quite understand why.
Well, yeah, but on the other hand, maybe he was dealing with something when he left and forgot it on his desk. At least he should, but we have two department heads that didn't, so let's not throw stones.
Well, I know, I'm just saying.
Ted.
And frankly, if I was in my
Ted,
office.
you have your hand raised.
And in my office, I have access to those documents, but obviously with Zoom, it doesn't work out that way.
Yep.
Yeah, Karen, one of the things that I'm just looking at the summary sheet that Ron was referring to in the beginning. I seem to remember in a couple of instances last year when that did not match up with the individual pieces that are behind the tabs. And I don't know, I guess I just wanted to throw that out there. It might be it might be an opportunity to catch that if that's an issue, but I think last year, I know it caused me a little bit of confusion a couple times when it didn't match.
So this year.
Yeah, that was when we started doing all the cuts, Ted. That was when those things, sometimes the cuts weren't all updated.
So Ted, this year, the numbers should match with the exception of the library, because basically the recommendation that I made in every department, all the numbers for the departments were changed to that recommendation. The only department head that didn't want to do that was the library. So the department head recommendations and the town manager's recommendations in the summary sheet will all be the same except for that library number. But I'll be happy to send that to you in electronic form so you can see that.
Okay, so any other questions? Okay,
related to the,
yep, go ahead, Darren.
the way the meeting went with Joe. I want to revisit on Tuesday night. Tommy asked a valid question and it got kind of skipped over, probably by accident, about if we already have money in water and sewers to pay salaries, why are we transferring money to other people to work in the water? And it's a valid question that he didn't understand the answer. I don't think he meant I don't think he answered it correctly. And that's a valid question that I'd like to have answered.
I'm sorry, Darren.
Well, Tuesday we're doing water and sewer, so that will be a good time to catch up on that. And I know Tommy won't forget to ask that question.
Ron, I guess Tommy can answer, or if everybody shuts off, Tommy can ask his question, but he asked, if we already have money in salaries for the water department, why are we transferring money from the highway department for guys to go over and help out the water department?
So as I understand that question, is it's something that Joe is talking about when he's looking at cutting his department numbers. Right now, he's got 3 employees who work part-time at DPW and part-time at water. but the salaries are really being paid for from DPW and not from the water department. So in effect, what's happening is DPW is actually subsidizing the water department and the sewer department because the money's being paid out of DPW as a normal salary. That's what's going on. So one of the cuts, and if you look at the back of the thing he sent you tonight, and that's what he was trying to explain, that one of the cuts that he doesn't want to do, but if you're looking just to save money in his budget, he's suggesting that those 3 employees who are working part-time in DPW, that the salaries get transferred to the water department and let the water sewer pay for them, but then he would be short effectively 1.5 employees because think of each of those 3 employees are working half-time.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So that's one of the cuts Joe's recommending. He doesn't like it, but it would make sure that he's short-staffed in water sewer. So it makes sense to put more staff there, but he would be cutting DPW again, which is not a good thing. The DPW's general fund where we have the deficit. Enterprise, there's no deficit, but of course it could on the long term increase sewer water rates, right? By adding staff. Anyway, he's going to talk about that when we get that around to that 5% issue later on.
Okay.
That help you, Darren?
Yeah, it's getting a little clearer.
Don't be afraid to shoot me an email. Hey, anybody on the board, if you have a question in between meetings and you need information, don't be afraid to send me an email and I'll get you the responses from department heads to clarify so you understand what's going on. I don't have any problem with you guys asking questions and getting those answers for you, okay?
Thank you.
I talk to Karen on a more regular basis, but all members can ask questions.
Okay, so are there any other questions? Okay. So could we I'm going to do this to make it easy. I'm going to tell you who's making the motions when they're here. So who's going to make the motion to adjourn? Dave Lucier made the adjournment motion and Pete O'Malley seconded. And now we're going to take a roll call vote.
There's got to be feedback where you're.
It's always Tommy.
It's painful.
Now we're going to take a roll call vote and I will tell you what their votes are. So Tommy.
Aye.
Tommy says aye. David.
Lucier, aye.
Lucier says aye. O'Malley.
No.
O'Malley says aye. Okay. Purcell.
Purcell, aye.
Ross.
Ross, aye.
Narwhal, aye. It's unanimous. We're adjourned until next Tuesday.